Oh, yeah. Is it Saturday already? Have we made it through yet another week of Star Wars news? Today we got a big one. New York City Comic Con is this weekend, and we got some pretty cool announcements for Star Wars. A new project, Leia returning, and it even goes along with the leaks for Ahsoka Season 2 we'll be talking about today because Leia is going to be in Star Wars quite a bit in the upcoming future. Princess Leia, the return. So we got a lot to talk about today, not just Ahsoka Season 2, but Maul Shadow Lord too, because we've been wanting to hear news about that for a while. So we got a lot to get into and not a lot of time. Let's end one of the greatest weeks of Star Wars news off on a high note with all this stuff. So without further ado, let's dive into all of it. What's up, everybody? How's everybody doing on this fine Saturday afternoon? What's up, chat? How's everybody's weekend going so far? We got a fun one today. We're talking Princess Leia Organa, a name we haven't talked of a long time, because we're usually talking about Luke Skywalker's Jedi Temple, or Luke showing up in The Mandalorian, or Luke showing up in the Book of Boba Fett. Always Luke Skywalker, never Leia Organa. But today we got some insane news to talk about. A new project that was just announced today with Leia involved, and some leaks about Ahsoka Season 2 with Leia involved. So yeah, we got some stuff to talk about today. We got to go through it. But before we do any of that, let's start the stream the only way we know how, the correct way, by saying hi to everybody in the chat. Shall we? Vic Hone, what is up? Snow Wolf, yes, how we doing? That guy B in the house. Nathan, how we doing? Not a Fed. Still don't believe you. Ron, what is up? The multiverse is broken. How we doing? Starship 66 in the house. Droopy McCool is here. Cleve Morris, how we doing? Mando United, what is up? Holly, how we doing? Brandon Baker's in the house. WEV Grad, how we doing? Navarro, what is up? 730 Evie, what is up? JC, how we doing? All right, if I missed you, you know the deal. Just yell at me in the chat. Let's give everybody a nice little,
Hello there.
General Kenobi.
Oh, that was the chat. Okay. I think we got to start with this brand new breaking news of today. New York City Comic Con is this weekend, and the Lucasfilm panel was this morning. So we got a couple brand new projects that are novels and other things and comics and stuff like that. But some big ones, some small ones, but still all brand new announcements as of this morning. So we'll dive into that stuff, and then we'll get into the leaks after that. And if you can read the title of this live stream too, there was a huge mistake from the sequel trilogy that has just been fixed, actually. And this was brought to my attention thanks to the great people who love Star Wars. This was a big problem I had with the sequel trilogy, known as the Knights of Ren. The Knights of Ren have been a big issue for me when it came to the sequel trilogy, and this mistake slash plot hole, I guess, was just filled. So, yet again, another issue I have with the sequel trilogy being fixed after it happened. Much like, for many of you, the Clone Wars animated series saving the prequel trilogy, making Anakin's fall to the dark side a lot more believable and better. But let's dive into the new news first. Let's start there, all right? Hang on. Let me take a sip of water first. How's everybody's weekend going, chat? Are we doing good? Are we doing good? Yeah? Are we doing good? Yeah. All right, let's start with the news. Breaking news. As of this morning, at the Lucasfilm panel at New York City Comic Con, we got all these brand new projects. The biggest one being what we were talking about on Thursday, the mysterious Star Wars Legacy project. Take a look at this. So, Star Wars Legacy by Madeline Rooks, I think. Sure. So here's all of the stuff from, let's scroll back up here. New Star Wars books and comics announced at New York City Comic Con 2025. So here's all the stuff that happened at this morning that you missed. Star Wars Legacy. This is probably the biggest one, and it goes on sale July 28th of next year. So only, I don't know, 2 months. Yeah, 2 months after The Mandalorian and Grogu. This is the next thing. And it's Star Wars Legacy. As you can tell by the cover, which is just awesome. Let's actually open that up. But as you can tell by the cover, you got Leia right there, front and center, with Rey right next to her, and Kylo Ren down here in a pretty cool cover. And then if we go down here, a new adult Star Wars novel set between the events of The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker. So right before, of course, Leia, well, dies. It was announced at Lucasfilm's publishing panel. So here's the brief summary below. Set between episode 8 and 9, Rey and Leia embark on a quest to repair Rey's lightsaber, because as we know in The Last Jedi, it gets pulled in half by Kylo Ren and Rey, and rekindle the legacy of the Jedi. A big issue many people have with The Rise of Skywalker is how powerful Rey is after watching her sort of struggle in The Last Jedi with Luke's training and versus the Praetorian Guards. So this will hopefully give a little bit more of a light to that, more training for Rey with Leia as the master. So like Luke training with Yoda on Dagobah, this is Leia training Rey. Where? I don't know. After barely escaping the First Order on Crate, Rey and the Resistance are struggling to rebuild. Her friends and need the Last Jedi more than ever, but Rey feels alone and overwhelmed. Jedi tradition is built on masters and apprentices, and Rey's teacher is gone. Luke Skywalker, of course, sacrificing his life at the end of The Last Jedi. Leia Organa, on the other hand, is still alive, trying her best to train Rey in the ways of the Force, as Luke did for her so many years ago. My biggest gripe with the original trilogy, the sequel trilogy, and everything in between, that whole time period, is the lack of Leia. I know she's a main character in the originals. I get that. But she is still the daughter of Anakin. She's still the sister to Luke. She's still supposed to be this Force sensitive. In Legends, she's this very, very, very powerful Force sensitive. And we don't get that. We really don't. The only tiny little glimmer of it we get is in that flashback sequence in The Rise of Skywalker, and that's it. So my biggest gripe with the original trilogy and the sequel trilogy is not enough Leia wielding a lightsaber, wielding the Force, doing anything cool. So I think this book and what we're going to talk about today with the Ahsoka Season 2 leaks will give us that. Leia being badass, wielding the Force, and telling us what she knows. Especially when it comes to this novel, it'll be her teaching Rey all that she knows, and we'll get a huge insight into what she actually knows. So, but it goes on to say, but Leia's knowledge is limited. Rey's lightsaber is broken, and the specter of Kylo Ren and regrets from the past haunt them both. How can Leia pass the torch when she herself is unsure of the way? A very reluctant teacher. Haven't we heard this before? Ahsoka and Sabine have a very similar relationship in Ahsoka Season 1, where, much like Leia here, she doesn't know how to train an apprentice. Ahsoka's scared to train an apprentice because she's worried she'll end up like the next Anakin Skywalker / Darth Vader. But then, the ancient Jedi texts offer a glimmer of hope. A long-forgotten Jedi temple on Tython, we're going back to Tython, that might hold the key to repairing Rey's lightsaber. Rey leaps at the chance to journey there, and to her surprise, so does Leia. So now we have this book coming out in 2026. If we thought 2026 couldn't get any better, you're now getting a story of Leia training Rey and the two of them going on an adventure to Tython. Now, if you don't know what Tython is, it is the planet where Grogu goes in Season 2 to sit on the Seeing Stone. The same episode where Boba Fett comes flying in the Slave One with Fennec Shan, and they beat up some stormtroopers, smashing stormtrooper helmets, getting his armor back. The great return of Boba Fett. That sort of, steals the hype away from the fact that Tython is the planet that they are on. Now, we've talked about the Dawn of the Jedi quite a bit over the last couple of weeks because it's kind of been delayed. with that whole James Mangold going to sign this exclusive deal, I guess, over with Paramount, which is great. It's great. But Dawn of the Jedi is likely to, if it sticks with Legends, stick to the planet of Tython. This is the planet where all the original Jedi, which they called them before they split into the Jedi and the Sith, the original Jedi go to learn the Force, create lightsabers. All that stuff happens on this planet. So the fact that it's in The Mandalorian, first of all, is awesome. And you're probably going to get it in the Dawn of the Jedi. Now you're getting it with Rey and Leia. You also got it actually in the book I bring up all the time, Shadow of the Sith, but that's, yeah, we'll get to that in a sec. Okay, so moving on. Oh, wait, we got a super chat? Hang on, chat. We got a super chat. Jordan Rennie with a very generous $2 holla. I appreciate that quite a bit. Says, this is where the fun begins. I appreciate that, Jordan. I really, really do. Super chats, memberships keep the lights on over here. Let's keep reading. Okay, so Rey and Leia, yeah. Another super chat? Hang on. Hang on, chat. Darth Plagueis lives with a very generous $10 holla. Holy crap. I appreciate that. Says Leia in Ahsoka Season 2. Also, when is Maul? We'll get to the Leia in Ahsoka Season 2 stuff after this. It's got me hyped up too, I know. But when is Maul? I will say early 2026. I don't want to get your hopes up and be like, it's definitely in January when I know it might not be. So I don't know. My answer is I don't know. But if I were to give you an educated guess, I would say February, maybe March, around that time, early 2026, before The Mandalorian and Grogu. Yeah, before The Mandalorian and Grogu. But I appreciate the super chat. As I said before, super chats, memberships. Where was I? Now that I've been so rudely interrupted. Okay. The mentorship is put to the test when they discover. Are you kidding me? Jordan Rennie with a very generous $10 holla says this is where the fun begins.
This is where the fun begins.
You know, Lucasfilm panel this morning, great new announcements. And I can't even read the freaking article. Let's try again. Let's try one more time. It's put to the test when they discover the temple on Tython is filled with obscure clues to decipher. You guys think this is a joke? You think this is a game? You think I come on here on my great Saturday afternoon just to be messed with? Princess Leia's back. And you guys just want to keep interrupting me with this stupid... Yeah. Not a Fed with a very generous $2 holla. I appreciate that. Says sorry, LOL. Apology not accepted. Not accepted. Okay. Let's try again. I didn't even go back to the screen yet, Jordan. I didn't even get back to the screen yet. Jordan with the very generous $20 holla. I appreciate that. Says, sorry for the interruption. Continue. Okay, thank you. No problem. You know, I understand. You know, I understand. Where was I? They discover something on Tython. It's filled with obscure clues to decipher. Aren't you guys intrigued? Doesn't this sound awesome? And arcane trials to complete. So, as I mentioned before, I think all the stuff in the post sequels, in the Mandoverse, and in the Dawn of the Jedi time are all going to be connected, especially Rey's new Jedi Order, the sacred texts, and all that stuff connected to the origins of the Jedi, because the original Jedi created those sacred texts. It's all going to be connected. In one time period, you see Tython being built for the first time, that Jedi Temple being built for the first time, and it's awesome and it's brand new. And then in the future, you see the ruins of the temple, like you see in The Mandalorian. And you can see that with Ahsoka, you can see that with Tython, you can see that with Jedha, you can see it all across the galaxy. Holly, I appreciate it. Another Mike who loves Star Wars, I also appreciate that too. You guys are crazy, but I love it. All right, let's keep going. So there's some stuff going on Tython. As they work to unravel the temple's mysteries, they encounter a group of refugees living in the shadows, hidden from the First Order officer, hidden from a First Order officer hot on the trail of two freedom fighters in their midst. With the threat of the First Order looming and the secrets of the temple yet to be unlocked, the newly forged master and apprentice, Leia and Rey, must confront their past, reach each other in the present, and decide what it means to carry on the legacy of the Jedi into the future. So usually when it comes to Star Wars novels and stuff like this, it's not that important to the greater story. This is Leia becoming the master and teaching Rey all she knows about the Force while they go on this insanely cool adventure on Tython, the origins of the Jedi Order. That right there, my friends, is so freaking cool. That sounds incredible and will pave the path to what Rey's new Jedi Order is going to look like. The sacred texts combined with Luke's teaching, combined with Leia's teaching, combined with what they learn on Tython, all that stuff is going to come together to pave the way for what we see in a post-sequel world, what the Jedi look like, what Rey's new Jedi Order is going to look like, and how the story plays out from there. Who are the new Force users in the galaxy? And that's really, really cool. So this was announced this morning. This was announced this morning at New York City Comic-Con, and it's got me hyped up because not only is it the return of Princess Leia to train Rey, but we're also, just so coincidentally, talking about Ahsoka Season 2 leaks that have to do with Leia too. So, Princess Leia all around, but this has got me hyped up. Now, Star Wars Legacy is the title of this. It's not the only book / project that was announced. Kylo Ren, of course, will play a big role in that novel too. But there's more. This is the first ever Star Wars romance novel that was announced called Eyes Like Stars. I don't really know much about it, but sounds pretty cool. So there's that. Jar Jar Binks. This one's pretty crazy. Not going to lie. This one's pretty awesome. So Jar Jar Binks, obviously, after Attack of the Clones and Revenge of the Sith, Jar Jar sort of disappears. In Legends, or maybe it's canon, but in Legends, he goes back to Naboo and becomes this street performer. Pretty sad end to Jar Jar Binks' story. I think that's Legends. Somebody fact check me on that. But in canon, we don't really know what happens to Jar Jar Binks. And this might tell us. Because not only are we getting a Jar Jar Binks comic run, or maybe it's a book. No, it's a comic run. But it's written by Ahmed Best, the voice and man behind Jar Jar Binks. And if that's not enough, Ahmed Best is teaming up with himself, Jar Jar Binks, and Kelleran Beck are teaming up. Pretty cool. So let's take a look at this. Misa back. That's right. Jar Jar Binks is back, and so is Kelleran Beck in this brand new one-shot comic written by Ahmed Best himself and Mark Gurringham. Gurgenham. Sure. So this all-new one-shot teams up two iconic characters, Jar Jar Binks from the prequel trilogy and Kelleran Beck, who was seen in The Mandalorian as the Jedi who saved Grogu from the Jedi Massacre Order 66, as well as Marvel Jedi Knight, as well as in Marvel's Jedi Knight 9 is where Kelleran Beck also shows up. This comic is co-written by Ahmed Best, who stars as both Jar Jar Binks and Kelleran Beck, and it's the collab of the century, these two characters. But it will hopefully explain a few things. One, what happened to Jar Jar? Because that's what everybody wants to know. And two, what's Kelleran Beck's story? You know, there's a big old gap in Grogu's story in between when he gets saved from by Kelleran Beck during Order 66 at the Jedi Temple and when he shows up again in The Mandalorian Season 1. There's a big jump there. Big jump. And yet, we don't know what happens. Maybe this comic will give us a little bit of an input on that. I think it'll take place before Order 66, but we'll see. We shall see. Jordan Rennie with a very generous $5 holla says, Kelleran Beck better watch his back with Darth Jar Jar. I know, right? He doesn't realize that he's standing in front of a Sith Lord. But hey, Palpatine stood under their noses for a long time. We get a Star Wars Vision spinoff too with this. This comes in 2026. Looks pretty cool for you Star Wars Visions fans. By the way, Star Wars Visions is in 17 days. 17 days. We're 2 weeks away from Star Wars Visions. Okay, so there's that. The Art of Andor. This will come out May 19th, a couple days before the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. May 19th, The Art of Andor. These art books are really, really cool. The Art of the Acolyte. There you go. By the way, we got a special guest coming on at the end of the live stream today to talk some Acolyte and the prequel trilogy, because we have finished both The Acolyte and the prequel trilogy. Actually, yeah, we have. So we'll be talking Acolyte towards the end of the live stream today. So another art book right there, which is pretty cool. They show you some bits of art here. I mean, look at that. So badass. Imagine Chimere looked like that. Like, that's creepy as hell. His helmet is creepy, but this is, like, way more creepy. And then you get some other art stuff there. And then you have the 50 Years of Innovation Industrial Light and Magic book, which, I mean, that must be pretty damn cool. That you got a sneak peek here, all the behind-the-scenes stuff of creating the first original trilogy, and then it goes into other stuff that isn't Star Wars, like they made Jurassic Park and all the effects on that, and of course Indiana Jones and all that stuff, and even stuff today. When you watch a movie, it ends. Lucasfilm is usually, or ILM, I should say, is usually a credit on most movies. Then we got Doug Chiang's Volume 1 and 2 of the Cinematic Legacy and Star Wars Legacy. So if you're looking for that, some pretty cool stuff there. Pretty cool stuff there when it comes to the prequel trilogy. Oh my God, they dissected R2-D2. What the heck? Oh my God, that's sick. Prequel stuff, I mean, some sequel stuff there. Then you have a coloring book for Mandalorian and Grogu. No spoilers there, at least not yet. Another Grogu book. Okay, kids book. Another Grogu book. Another Grogu book. And then we got some High Republic stuff, actually. High Republic Adventures, Pathfinders. Okay, you got some High Republic stuff going on here. Oh, more High Republic stuff going on. And there you have it. That is all the stuff that was announced this morning at the Lucasfilm panel at New York City Comic Con. A lot of Mando and Grogu stuff. I mean, makes sense. It's the next movie that comes out. But also you got your art books. You got your Jar Jar comics. You got some pretty cool stuff. But the biggest one and the most important one, by far, and at least to me, is this Leia, Rey, Kylo Ren, Star Wars Legacy novel. It just sounds so cool. You're talking about the training sequence of Yoda training Luke on Dagobah. Now you're turning that into a who knows how many page novel that explores Tython, the origins of the Jedi, the sacred texts, and still the relationship between Leia and her son, Kylo Ren, and her tapping into the Force a little bit more, where we get to see her train Rey. Sounds pretty cool to me. And that just makes our 2026 even more jam-packed. Because in between The Mandalorian and Grogu and Ahsoka Season 2, we will be getting Star Wars Legacy with Princess freaking Leia. Okay, hang on. I think we got... Did I miss another super chat? Oh, no, I did not. All right. Yes. Yes. Okay. Yes. Sam will be the guest later. But that's later on in the live stream. We got some other stuff to talk about today. We got other things to talk about. Let's start with a poll, actually. Let's start with a poll. Let's talk some Maul Shadow Lord. Are you excited for Maul Shadow Lord? Yes or no? Are you excited for Maul Shadow Lord? Tell me in the chat. We haven't really talked much Maul Shadow Lord. The majority of our news as of late has been about either Starfighter and Mara Jade / Amy Adams and the possibility of this Flynn Gray character being Luke's son, or it's been Ahsoka Season 2. They finished filming. They posted the picture where they look like the Mortis God statues from Lothal, or the Mortis God painting, I guess, from Lothal, mural, sure, on the Jedi Temple on Lothal. We've been talking Ahsoka Season 2, Mandalorian and Grogu, and Starfighter almost exclusively. But one of the biggest, most anticipated projects coming up is Maul Shadow Lord, the next multi-season animated series from Star Wars following one of the greatest characters of all time. And we don't talk about it. Now, granted, we don't talk about it because there's not much to talk about. We haven't gotten a trailer yet, and we don't really have a set release date. We have an idea of where it could release, but no set release date. However, today, all that changes. Today, we're talking Maul Shadow Lord, and we're going to talk about it pretty damn good. Because not only do I think it will connect to many of those other projects I just mentioned, but it brings back ideas that George Lucas had for the sequel trilogy. And this is something that's going to be sort of a theme on today's live stream, bringing back ideas that were once scrapped. First with Shadow Lord, and then with Ahsoka Season 2. So, by the way, this poll right now is at 92% of you are excited for Maul Shadow Lord. So that's pretty good. We'll leave that up for a little bit, but that's a pretty good start. That's crazy. Yeah. On a scale of 1 to 10, tell me, Chet, on a scale of 1 to 10, how excited are you for Maul Shadow Lord? Okay? And while you do so, let's talk about this. So the biggest thing we're talking about today comes from George Lucas's sequel trilogy pitch. And if you don't know what that is, let me sum it up for you. George Lucas, when he sold the company of Lucasfilm to Disney back in 2012, he actually had a treatment, an idea for the sequel trilogy. And that idea would have had Maul, Darth Maul, be the villain of the entire trilogy, having an apprentice, a Twi'lek Sith Lord named Darth Talon, and he would have ruled the underworld. So after the Emperor has fallen, after the Empire has fallen, Luke, Leia, Han, and some new characters would have to take down Grand Admiral Thrawn. I'm sorry, Grand Admiral Thrawn. Talking too much Ahsoka Season 2. Darth Maul, as he controls the underworld. Now, if all of that sounds familiar, it's because since that sequel trilogy has been canceled, that storyline has continued. And it's not until Maul Shadow Lord where it will fully come to fruition and George Lucas's vision will become a reality. And that's the leaks we're talking about today. So if it sounds familiar, it's because that's the plot of Clone Wars Season 7. It's the plot of Solo. All of that stuff is George Lucas's idea. Maul taking over the underworld, creating the Crimson Dawn, and bringing all the Pikes and the Black Sun and all these different syndicates together. That was the idea. And now we're seeing a bit of that. In Solo, a Star Wars story, he is still the ruler of all those criminal underworld different sections. Not all of them, but most of them. Now we're going to see Maul Shadow Lord as he builds that empire. While the empire is doing its own thing, Palpatine's empire, he's going to be building an underworld empire with all these different people. And that's what Maul Shadow Lord's going to be about. Now, the biggest key to all of this is Darth freaking Talon. Okay? So if you don't know who that is, let me pull up a picture real quick. This is Darth Talon, a fan favorite Legends character, much like a Thrawn or a Mara Jade, one that people really, really wanted to come over to canon. And it seems like our hopes and dreams are all going to come true. Because not only did we get the leaked trailer for Maul Shadow Lord, where we did see a Twi'lek that Maul is seemingly training, but now we're hearing that George Lucas's sequel trilogy treatment is being put into Maul Shadow Lord. Now, it's not going to be a shot for shot remake because Luke, Leia, and Han are like, I don't know, 5 years old at this point. Like they're barely even alive. So it won't be an exact sequel trilogy remake, but the ideas, the Maul taking over the underworld, the Darth Talon being involved, that's all going to be in Shadow Lord. Okay? So take a look at this. This was from, let's zoom in on that. This was from the leaked trailer for Maul Shadow Lord that was from Star Wars Celebration. And here you can see Maul on the right, but this is the apprentice. I use that loosely because we don't really know what's going to happen with her. But this is the Twi'lek apprentice to Darth Maul. There are scenes in the leaked trailer where Maul is training this young girl. Now, you could sit here and go, Mike, that's just a Twi'lek. Like it's not Darth Talon. Like how do you even know it's Darth? It's a Twi'lek. If they were gonna do some other version of Darth Talon, they would have used a different species. You can't tell me that they're gonna bring in a Sith Twi'lek apprentice to Darth Maul and not use George Lucas's idea, not use the legends that already exists with a character like Darth Talon. You can't tell me that, okay? Don't even try and tell me that. This character right here is eventually going to become Darth Talon. However, the problem with that is this is a child. This is a child. So here's where our sort of speculation brains have to come on in terms of what this Maul series is going to end up like, how it's going to end, I guess. Because Talon is not in Solo, a Star Wars story, when Maul appears. She's not in Rebels when Maul goes to Malachor 5 and is the shadow that the Inquisitors call him. And, well, he's sort of an old hermit on Malachor 5. She's gone. Does she die? Does she just leave him? Does she go off and do her own thing? Where does she go? Now you add a gigantic question mark into the Star Wars timeline of a Sith Twi'lek that was trained by Darth Maul. She's just been out there, just hanging out. Where could she appear? In the Mandoverse? Maybe. In the post-sequel world? Why not? I already saw somebody bring it up in the chat. Could be Mia Goth's character. I mean, if Starfighter wants to make $2 billion, if Starfighter wants to make a shit ton of money, then yeah, Mia Goth will be playing Darth Talon. Matt Smith will be playing Darth Krayt. Amy Adams will be playing Mara Jade. But that's just, us fanboy dreaming over here. That'd be nice. It would also connect Starfighter to the Maul series, and it would be like incredible for Star Wars fans who watch the animated stuff. Because when you watch the animated stuff, not only are you getting some of the greatest Star Wars content of all time, but you feel like you're sort of in the know, If you've watched the Clone Wars and you've watched Rebels, and then you go and watch like The Mandalorian, and Ahsoka shows up, or Bo-Katan shows up, and you're like, I know who that is. And the person sitting next to you is like, who is that? You're like, you're an idiot. Watch the animated stuff. It just gives you a little bit of a I'm smarter than you type vibe. No, I'm kidding. But it does make you feel like you're in the know. And if you watch Maul Shadow Lord and it establishes that Darth Talon is in there, and then you go and watch Starfighter a year later, and she's a lot older in that movie, played by Mia Goth, and is the villain of the film, that would be so cool. And connect projects that are, 50 years apart in the timeline, at least? At least. Probably 60 years apart. So if she's, let's say, I don't know, how old does she look there? Like 9, 10, maybe 11? I don't know. And then 50 years later, she's 60? You can be seeing a 60-year-old Darth Talon. And when you think of a 60-year-old Darth Talon, you're like, that's an old person. Force-sensitive Twi'lek could probably live to, actually, let's look it up. How old, or how long can a Force-sensitive Twi'lek live to? Oops. Force-sensitive Twi'leks can live longer than the species' average span of about 75 years, potentially reaching up to 200 years old. 200. So yeah, she could definitely be alive by the time of Starfighter. But if you go to watch Starfighter and you see that there's a red Twi'lek Sith Lord that looks something like this, you'll immediately be the Leonardo DiCaprio meme where he goes whoop, doop, 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 like he's pointing at the screen, because you'll know that is a red Twi'lek that was once trained by the great late Darth freaking Maul, and it will be so cool. But going back to the sort of the big news of it all, the George Lucas sequel trilogy that many Star Wars fans really wanted to see come to fruition is now not, of course, a one-for-one remake of what George Lucas had in mind. Luke, Leia, and Han will not be there, but the same overarching story for Maul is there. Him taking over the underworld, building up this empire under the Empire, and training a Twi'lek apprentice, hopefully named Darth Talon, is all going to be the same. So, with that being said, how excited are you for this series on a scale of 1 to 10? Honestly, this stuff has me ridiculously excited. Anything that has to do with George Lucas and his vision for what Star Wars should be attached to a new Star Wars project puts my hype level up to the next level. Maul being one of my top 3 favorite characters of all time, of course, I'm already really excited for this series. But now, the fact that it's getting closer and closer and closer, and the very little we know about it, has me ridiculously excited. I'm probably up around a 9 out of 10, and that, for me, without having even seen a trailer yet, is pretty damn high. So, tell me in the chat, where are we at? 6.5, 7, 6, 1,000? Okay. Pretty high. George Lucas is a sellout? I very muchly disagree with that. George Lucas looked at it this way. He was 70 years old when he sold the company. So he didn't want to make a trilogy because that would take at least another 10 years of his life, and he'd be 80 still making Star Wars, which is what he precisely didn't want to do. That's why he sold the company in the first place, was because he wanted to retire. He didn't want to make more Star Wars content, but at the same time, he wanted more Star Wars content to be made. So yeah, he made $4 billion off of it, but it wasn't like, oh, I'm just going to cash this check and then say sayonara, you know? A 9.2187 out of 10.
This is where the fun begins.
That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Yeah. Technically, she is during the Darth Krayt time, and that's in the future. Yes. Well, that's adult Darth Talon. Right now, we got the very young Darth Talon. It'd be really cool to get a sort of parallel of a character like Anakin. Anakin at a very young age, or not really like an infant or a child. At the age of 8, he was 8, right? In the Phantom Menace. At the age of 8, the Jedi come and take him away. He becomes a Jedi, trains, loses it, leaves the Jedi Order. I mean, leaves, I guess, is a nice way to put it. He kills the Jedi and rules the galaxy for a while. You know, he goes through it. To see sort of a paralleling story of a Twi'lek girl who at a somewhat young age, probably around 9 or 10, she gets picked up by the Sith, gets trained by a Sith Lord. That would be really, really cool to see. Yeah. She's definitely not during the Old Republic. No. No, she's not. Got a lot of great Sith Lords during the Old Republic. She is not one of them, though. I'm only excited because it's more Star Wars. I'm not a big fan of Maul unless they change my mind, and I hope they do so. Yeah, to me, Maul in the Clone Wars and in Rebels, it's one of the greatest arcs of any character in Star Wars. So getting to see the middle of that, getting to see sort of the missing piece to that story in a hopefully 3 or 4 or maybe even 5 season show that can incorporate the underworld of Star Wars with also Inquisitors and Vader and even good guys like Asajj Ventress and her new apprentice, or even seeing like the hidden path in that too. Like it has the ability, even though it's called a Maul show, to branch out into all these different things that are happening in the galaxy at this time. You're going to see characters like Kira, characters like Dryden Voss, all those people because they're connected to Maul. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. I'd be more excited for a Yoda origin story. No. I seriously, really, really hope they never do a Yoda origin story. Yeah. In the least trailer, she looks like a teenager. Maul's going to is going to be dealing with a teenager. Yeah, maybe she could be a teenager. I don't really know. She looks young in at least in this image. She looks younger than Ahsoka did in the Clone Wars, and Ahsoka was what, 14 in the first season? So I think she's at least maybe 12 in this, but maybe you're right. Maybe you're right. The coolest thing I love about Maul so much is that he's a character that comes back from the dead. Everybody thinks he dies in The Phantom Menace. He gets chopped in half by Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he dies in the Duel of the Fates. So we think. And bringing a character back from the dead is always extremely difficult to do. For example, somehow Palpatine returned. That angered so many Star Wars fans beyond belief. And obviously, it's the explanation of it all. It's the reasoning behind it that needed to be there. It's there now, or at least it's there better now. And I appreciate it more now. But at the time, it's just somehow Palpatine returned. Not much explanation to it. And fans didn't like that. Maul is the exact opposite. His return is deserved. It's explained well, and it makes sense, and it's got people ridiculously hyped up. He survives off the anger and want for revenge and just dives into the dark side. That's how he survives. He just survives in this junk pile because all he wants is revenge. The only thing that keeps him alive is the dark side of the Force, which is so unbelievably cool until his brother finds him, and then he clears his mind with freaking Night Sister magic, and then he goes on this rampage to try and kill Obi-Wan Kenobi, and then he's like, I'm going to make an empire in the underworld. Like, his character's so cool. But it's done right. And he's the blueprint. Not that you can do the exact same thing over again, but the way they explain how he survives is something that they need to learn. Because if you're going to have characters like Palpatine come back, you're going to need that at least as the blueprint a little bit. Now, there's certain characters that can't come back that people want to come back, like a Kylo Ren or a Ben Solo, because, his body disappeared, and it's a little bit more difficult to come back from, just a little bit. But Maul is definitely the perfect idea of how to get back, Yeah. Maul really hasn't shown up in live action since Solo. Oh, well, Solo is his only live action appearance other than The Phantom Menace. And I don't think he'll have another one. I think Maul Shadow Lord will be it for the character of Maul. That's why I think it'll set up more. Like, it'll set up Darth Talon, it'll set up these other storylines. Just like the Bad Batch sets up Omega, sets up more story to be told with that character. Think about how important Omega is to the greater Star Wars story, especially to Palpatine. Like, she's the only person that they could find that can transfer midichlorians. She's also the only other unaltered clone of Jango Fett like Boba. So if she comes along to live action in the Mandoverse, she'll be so important to characters like Boba Fett, like Palpatine, like the Shadow Council that's trying to make Project Necromancer work. Like she will be so important. She has connections to Harrison Dula. She's got connections all around. But that's just a character that was established in a 3-season television show called The Bad Batch. So think about what Maul could do. Think about what that could establish. Certain characters that have connections to other people that can be paid off in the future, like a Darth Talon. Yeah. So just like the Bad Batch is called the Bad Batch, and the Bad Batch actually come to sort of an end at the end of the series, R.I.P. Tech, but the other ones survived, they're just old now. I think Maul, this series, is not really for him. Yes, it's going to be about him, but in the outcome of the final season, however it ends, we know what Maul's story comes. We know he goes to Malachor 5. We know he loses his whole empire. We know he dies on the sand dunes of Tatooine versus Obi-Wan Kenobi in Star Wars Rebels Season 4. Or 3. 4? 3? What season does 3, right? Somebody help me on the chat. Either way, we know where Maul's story comes to an end. Much like we know where the Bad Batch's story comes to an end now. The series will kickstart a lot of other people's stories. It was season 3? Okay, season 3. Season 3, like I said. Of course, I know all about Star Wars Rebels. I can't wait till me and Sam get to Star Wars Rebels because I feel like I haven't watched it in a while and I need to get my brain back on track. Yeah. Jordan Rennie with a very generous $5 holla. I appreciate that, Jordan. Says, let's be honest, the Bad Batch were the good batch. I mean, you're not wrong. What's really funny, and of course the Star Wars animation always goes underrated, I think the Bad Batch, especially season 3, might be the most underrated Star Wars project there is. I would have said it was Rogue One before, but Rogue One has gotten its appreciation after Andor. Like, Andor made Rogue One better, and people now are sort of talking like, okay, yeah, Rogue One is legit. Like, it's really, really good. Maybe Rebels. Rebels is still not getting that love it deserves. Season 3 and 4 of Rebels specifically. Yeah. But other than that, the Bad Batch is definitely one of the most underrated Star Wars projects ever. Yeah. Yeah. Indeed. Okay. But let's keep going. So we got a little bit off track there, but we're talking about the Maul leaks. Now let's switch our gears over a little bit here to the Ahsoka Season 2 stuff. So, I mean, all we've been talking about for like the last week at least, maybe 2, is Ahsoka Season 2. Because this week has just been an insane amount of greatness in terms of Ahsoka Season 2 stuff. Because we got this early this week on Tuesday's live stream, I believe. We got this image from behind the scenes of Ahsoka finally finishing wrapping film after 7 months. So this was the image that Natasha Liu Bordizzo posted on her story, and we came to the conclusion that it's clearly supposed to make you think of this. As you can tell, it's the exact same hand motions in the Mortis Gods will be heavily connected to Season 2. Now, come to Saturday, the latest and greatest in terms of Ahsoka Season 2. We got 2 things. 1, Leia. And we just spent the majority of the first half of this the first part of this live stream talking about Princess Leia and her new story with Rey, and that will come out in 2026, and that'll be great. But Leia in Ahsoka Season 2. Now, if you remember, Ahsoka Season 1, actually, let's put up a poll first. Let's put up a poll. Is it Sam time yet? Not yet, Jordan, not yet. Soon. By the way, 90% of you are excited for Maul Shadow Lord. Love to see that. Okay. Andrew, what's up? Do you think Leia will be in Ahsoka Season 2? So here is the latest and greatest when it comes to Ahsoka Season 2 leaks. In Season 1, Leia was almost, and I mean almost, in the series. Now, we got C-3PO instead. Kind of a letdown. We got a mention of Leia, mention of Senator Organa. That was cool enough. Or Organa Solo even. That was cool enough. And we got C-3PO, which is like, cool. Yeah, C-3PO, great. Yeah, we've seen R2. We got C-3PO now. Sure, cool. But season 2, all these reports are saying that she's going to be in it. Princess Leia returns for season 2. And this comes after her daughter, Princess Leia is, of course, played by Carrie Fisher, who sadly passed away in 2016? 17? 16? 2016, I think. Sadly passed away during the events or during the production of the sequel trilogy. So bringing back a character like Luke Skywalker is a lot easier with the deepfake technology because you have still Mark Hamill. He's 73 years old and you're deepfaking him to a 25-year-old Luke Skywalker, but you still have that source. You still have the guy. With Leia, it's different because you don't. So now this comes very recently off the backs of her daughter, Billie Lourd, saying that she would love, absolutely love to come back and play in Star Wars in the galaxy far, far away. Now, she actually plays a specific character. I don't know the name. Somebody help me on the chat. Billie Lourd has her own character in Star Wars. Does anybody know? Chat? Does anybody know that character's name? She's in the sequel trilogy. But that's not what she's referring to here. All these rumors of Leia being in Ahsoka Season 2 coming right off the backs of her saying she wants to be back in Star Wars. Coincidence? I think not. I need a button that says that, from The Incredibles. Coincidence? I think not. Yeah. She's background actor 55. Okay, I guess I gotta look it up. I guess I'm looking it up, chat. Who does Billie Lourd play in Star Wars? Here we go. What? Not interested. She plays in the sequel trilogy Lieutenant Cadel Connix. Cadel Connix. Sure. Now, why I think this is actually going to happen? Well, Billie Lourd has played Leia in the deepfake in the past. She played deepfake Leia in the flashback scenes of The Rise of Skywalker, which we just talked about earlier this live stream. And it seems like they're not going to shy away from Leia. As we move forward in the Mandoverse, and you hopefully get a Mandalorian Mando trilogy, where we're getting so much more content in the years between Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens, there are 3 characters that need to be there, and it's Luke, Leia, and Han. This is their prime. This is where they're going to be the main heroes of the galaxy. You need Luke, Leia, and Han. And the conversation that always comes up is, do you deepfake those characters or do you recast them? Do you bring in a brand new trio of actors to play Luke, Leia, and Han? And I know we have this debate all the time, but tell me in the chat, are you team deepfake or team recast? I am team deepfake to the end of time. I don't want to see 3 new actors come in and play Luke, Leia, and Han for a few reasons. One, you have Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, and Carrie Fisher playing those 3 characters in the originals and in the sequels. If you have 3 new actors in the middle that even look similar but not the same, they could take it and drag it on to a completely different place where it's not supposed to go. As much as actors don't really have a say in where their characters go, these people are those characters. There's a reason they brought back Mark Hamill when they brought back Luke Skywalker. Because he knows the character, and they want him on board. They still have Harrison Ford. He's still alive. They can bring him back to use deepfake on him. And then for Carrie Fisher, who's not here anymore, they can use her daughter. I'm seeing a lot of recasts. Team recast, team deepfake, okay. Recast, deepfake. We're pretty split on that one. Yeah, we're pretty split on that one. I'll play Han Solo. All right, there you go. Sebastian Stan. As much as I love Sebastian, don't get me wrong. Sebastian Stan is now how long? How old? Sebastian Stan. Sebastian Stan is now 43 years old. 43. That's not that old. Don't get me wrong. But he's supposed to be playing a 24, 25-year-old Luke Skywalker? You're going to have to de-age him. You might as well just bring in Mark Hamill and de-age him if you're going to de-age Sebastian Stan. You know? We need Chewie in there too. Well, Chewie will of course be there, but you don't have to deep fake or recast Chewie. You can well, I mean, they already did recast Chewie. But in terms of facial appearances, you don't really need to do much. They still got the costume. Yeah. Same with C-3PO, same with R2-D2. We're just talking about the three specific faces that need to be there. I mean, you could also talk about Lando too, and you could still do the deepfake for that as well. You missed the super chat? Oh, hang on. Hang on, chat. Jordan Rennie with very generous $5 holla says, I meant to say with the Ahsoka and Sabine image, do you think it's been cropped or something is missing? Yes, 100%. I mean, this is a blurry, looks like it's zoomed in image. Like something on the left, something on the right is probably not supposed to be in the image because it's spoilery, you know? It's not it gives away too much. So yeah, it's definitely a cropped image and probably zoomed in too. That's why it's very, very blurry and grainy. Absolutely. Indeed. Oh, we got a new member? Hang on. We got a new member. Gingervitis? Gingervitis. Oh, okay. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars. Welcome to the people who love Star Wars. Ginger at the Padawan level. I appreciate that quite a bit. Super chats, memberships keep the lights on over here. So I appreciate it. But getting back to Princess Leia, Han, and Luke. As much as you guys want the whole recast, there is nothing that they have done that makes me think they will ever do that. Now, before you say, Mike, they literally recast Han Solo, that is an origin story. That is a prequel. That is different. And Solo bombed in the box office. It lost money. The only Star Wars movie to lose money. Well, the other 4 Disney Star Wars movies made $1 billion. That one only made $400 million, which, again, sounds like a lot of money, but it's not. So I think Lucasfilm saw that and went, we're never doing this again. We are never, ever, ever recasting Luke, Leia, or Han ever again. Rogue One, deepfake. Book of Boba Fett, deepfake. The Mandalorian, deepfake. And you're going to see that continue. Now, you have Billy Lord to come and deepfake Leia for a young Leia. You can still bring in Harrison Ford because he's still doing a ton of acting to do a young Han Solo. And you still got Mark Hamill, who's already done Luke multiple times over the last 5 years. So as this news comes around, these rumors come around that Leia will be in Ahsoka Season 2, the fact that she might actually play a big role in what happens in the events of this second season of Ahsoka, it's highly likely that she'll be deepfaked. And for all you team recasters out there, you're going to take a pretty big kick in the nuts. I don't know why I phrased it that way, but yes, I'm sticking to it. It's going to hurt because they've now brought back 2 legacy characters of the 3, and they have all been deepfaked. Now, my very big question to you is, do you think with Leia rumored to be in Ahsoka Season 2, with Luke already appearing in The Mandalorian, do you think Han Solo will be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? Now, before you go, no, Mike, you're an idiot, think about it for a second. Not only are they doing a Mandalorian and Grogu version of the Smuggler's Run ride at Disneyland/World, which is the Millennium Falcon, and Jon Favreau said that the events of that take place right off screen in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. So Din and Grogu are right next to the Millennium Falcon and Hondo Ohnaka in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. He told us that. He literally told us that. Not only that, but if they're going to bring in these three characters to this Mando trilogy, if they want the Mandalorian and Grogu movie to make well over $1 billion, they're gonna need that big kick that brings people to the audience, puts butts in chairs. They need that big hook. Now, Din and Grogu, of course, are enormous. Grogu is everywhere. Look around you. He's on your shirt. He's in your wall. He's in your wall. He's on your wall. I hope he's not in your wall, but he's on your wall. He's on your shelf. He's everywhere. But I still think they need it. I still think they need that big push of, holy crap, did you hear the Millennium Falcon is in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? Did you hear Han Solo and Chewbacca are back? So with that, tell me in the chat, do you think Han Solo and the Millennium Falcon will be in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie? Yes or no? What do we think? What do we think? I do not like those other actors playing Han and Maul in Solo. Well, Maul is the same actor. Maul was still Ray Park. Physically. Han Solo was Alden Ehrenreich, of course. That's a different actor. I didn't mind Alden. And I know it sounds like I'm, going back on everything I just said, but I didn't mind Alden. Again, it was a prequel, like 15 years, 12 years before the original trilogy. So it didn't take me out of it. It was like looking at a young Han. Yeah. Yeah. That Maul looked way different than the Phantom Menace one. Yeah, but it's the same actor. It looks different because he's older. People age. There's this weird thing in the real world and in Star Wars, where people, when time passes, they get older and they look different. Now, maybe it doesn't happen to everybody. It happens to me, definitely. It happens to most people, probably 99.9% of people. But like when time passes, they get older. And they look a little bit different. They get wrinkles on their face, maybe their face looks slightly different from when they were 20 to when they're, 50, just happens to some. Not all, but some. Yeah. Alden acted the role really well. He just didn't really look like Harrison. He definitely didn't look like a Harrison body double, but he did he did good. He did good. Jordan with a very generous $10 holla. God damn, you guys are feeling generous today. I appreciate it. Says, I think there will be a lot of backlash if they recast the legacy characters, to be honest. Exactly. I think there will be far less backlash if they deep fake the characters, especially if it looks good. And might I remind you that in 2022, maybe? In 2022, we got the Book of Boba Fett where Luke Skywalker was in the show for like 30 minutes and he looked incredible the entire time. That was over 3 years ago. Imagine what the deepfake technology can do right now. Look at the AI. You go online, I don't even know what's real anymore. Am I real? This might be the time in the show where I tell you guys that I am completely 100% AI, but I won't. So I think that Lucasfilm has the ability to deepfake these characters and make them look so ultra realistic that we don't even know the difference. And we'll be watching Luke, Leia, and Han for the next decade in a pre-sequel time period. Not a lot of them, used sparingly, because there's still these prolific, legendary beings, but they will still be in the stories. They'll still be a part of the story. It's one of the biggest mistakes, one of the biggest misses of the sequel trilogy is that they never had Luke, Leia, and Han on the same screen, ever. So they need to do that. And I think John and Dave are definitely the ones who can do that. Yeah. Again, the Falcon is docking in episode 3 on Coruscant. Yes, that's true. It could be something like that where we get an Easter egg of the Millennium Falcon. I can see that. I think deepfaking a character who's going to be in the majority of the runtime would have been a huge mistake. Given where tech was at the time. Oh, you're saying for the Solo movie? Yeah, absolutely. I don't think the technology was there in 2017. I don't think the technology was there at all for Han Solo and Lando. No, definitely not. But now, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that they're going to make a Leia show, a Luke show, a Han show, and deepfake the character for the entirety of a whole show, whether they're the main character. I'm just saying they're going to show up like Leia in Ahsoka Season 2, or maybe Han in the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, or Luke in wherever. And when they do show up, they'll be deepfaked. Maybe it's for 20 minutes, maybe it's for 30 minutes, maybe it's for an hour. But they won't be the main character. They won't be there the entire time. Yeah. Okay. Oh, we got another super chat. Jordan again says, welcome to the AI who loves Star Wars. If I was AI, that would be really impressive. Not going to lie. Yeah.
Incorrect.
Yeah. Can I get some good cups follow orders in the chat, please? Bum-ba. Okay. So, the coolest part of all of this is that Leia is back. Not just from the Star Wars Legacy announcement that we got this morning, not just being the master to Rey in a story that takes place in between The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker on Tython, but also possibly, again, take it with a giant grain of salt, it's not confirmed yet, but in Ahsoka Season 2. If we can get Leia in there as we're dealing with Grand Admiral Thrawn in as the heir to the Empire, you could see the collapse of the New Republic. You could see how this all falls apart, how the First Order is able to rise to power, how Snoke comes into play, why Leia has to create the resistance because the New Republic is not enough, because they exile her because of her connection to Darth Vader. All that story that's there can play out if you bring in Leia as a deep-faked character. You probably only get pieces of it, but Ahsoka Season 2 might be the beginning of it. And that's pretty damn exciting. All the stuff we know about Ahsoka Season 2, it sounds legendary. From one galaxy having a war in our Star Wars, Admiral Akbar versus Grand Admiral Thrawn with Ezra, Hera, Zeb, maybe even Leia, and Night Sisters and all that greatness, to another galaxy all the way over here, where Leia, Sabine, Huge Wang, Shin Hati, Baylan Skoll are all doing their own thing. Balin's looking for some glimmer of light on a mountain. Could be Abeloth, definitely connected to the Mortis gods. And we could be getting Anakin Skywalker, or we're definitely getting Anakin Skywalker, Hayden Christensen as a Force ghost, helping out along the way. Maybe even fighting Baylan Skoll at some point, as the leaks claim it to be. So you take all that, you sprinkle in a little bit of Princess Leia, and you got a pretty good season of television on your hands. Just probably pretty good, you know. Just expanding the lore greatly. Great lightsaber duels. Incredible battle in our Star Wars. I like bouncing up and down like this. Princess Leia. Grand Admiral Thrawn. Hayden Christensen. And if we're lucky, Clone Wars flashbacks with Ewan McGregor, Ariana Greenblatt, and Anakin frickin' Skywalker. Mortis gods. Mortis gods. Do you think Shin Hati will go against Baylan Skoll and try to stop him? I don't know. Shin Hati's character to me is sort of off in Never Neverland. What's it called? No. Sort of off doing her own thing. I don't know what her thing's going to be. I don't know. Snow Wolf with a very generous $5 holla says, this is the greatest news. I'm a huge fan of General Organa. Nice. I have one of the old comics where she fights Vader. That's awesome. That's really good. Yeah, that's the big thing, too. There's a lot of Leia fans out there. A lot. And I think you probably think the same as I do. We need more Leia. Yeah, she's a main character of the originals. Who cares? In the sequel trilogy, she's not utilized nearly enough. Sadly, Carrie Fisher passes away during the creation of The Last Jedi and is not able to film anything for Rise of Skywalker, so her character has to be diminished. Now I want more. Whether it's in animation, in some sort of Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show where Leia and Han are heavily involved, or if it's in live action and it's deep-faked and it's her daughter, Billy Lord. Either way, give me more Leia. I need it. I need it. But hey, that's just me. Tell me in the chat, do you want more Princess Leia? Yes or no? Tell me in the chat. Jordan Rennie with a very generous $5 holla says, I'm confused about how they'll get all these characters into a show where they are all in different universes and or dead. It's actually a very good point. How do you fit all those things, all those great things that I just said, into an 8-episode series? That's not going to be easy. To do all that, a war in our Star Wars, while also establishing Mortis gods, maybe even Abeloth in a different galaxy, it's going to be some pretty jam-packed stuff. We talk about filler episodes, and especially when it comes to Disney Plus live action shows, there should never be a filler episode, but all 3 seasons of The Mandalorian all have filler episodes. A couple of them too, actually. So when it comes to Ahsoka Season 1, in all 8 episodes, none of them being filler, it's great. It's fantastic. Even like the Book of Boba Fett, I guess all those have purpose to them. So I guess not really Book of Boba Fett. Skeleton Crew, again, no, not really. So it seems like in the recent years, they found a way to get rid of all the filler stuff. Because it's only 8 episodes. You only get 8 episodes with these characters. Fill them up. Fill them up as much as you can. If you need more episodes, take them. If you don't, then don't. That's what it is. Ginger says, what about Ventress and her apprentice? Well, circling back to Maul Shadow Lord, I certainly hope they're in there. That seems like the logical place for them to be next. I could definitely see Asajj coming to live action. I just don't know when or how. Her connection to the Mortis, not to the Mortis gods. Her connection to Dathomir, her connection to the Night Sisters is an easy place to sort of plug her in. Thrawn is on Dathomir. Thrawn has an army of Night Sisters. Asajj Ventress and Merrin, for that matter, Cal Kestis' girlfriend from the Jedi games, those two being Night Sisters and being good guys, or, I mean, is Asajj Ventress really a good guy? Having those two be good guys and on the side of the heroes, it'll definitely help. Yeah. Who's the big-headed guy from Geeks and Gamers? Freaks and Geeks, you mean the movie? Because he's always doing the last 2 weeks about crapping on Ahsoka Season 2, and I don't get it all. What? Freaks and Geeks, the guy from the movie? Marshall from How I Met Your Mother? I don't know what you're talking about. Jason Segel? Is it Segel? Seagal? What are you talking about? Jason Segel's crapping on Ahsoka Season 2? Star Wars nerd, what's up? How we doing? What's up? Oh, it's another. Oh, okay, never mind. Rewind the live stream. Wait. I read that wrong. I read it wrong. It's another YouTuber. My fault, Jason Segel. That's on me. Sorry. I thought you were talking about How I Met Your Mother. I didn't know. I need Solo season 2 more than a Kenobi season 2. Okay, interesting. I would like a Chopper series. Says Chopper Base. Chopper will be in Ahsoka season 2. That's your good news, I guess. But I don't think you'll be getting a Chopper series. No, I do not. But yeah, Chopper will definitely be in Ahsoka season 2. Actually, Dave Filoni said that he'll have a way bigger role and he will cause some havoc. You know? You've met my mother? Yeah, she's a nice lady.
I got a bad feeling about this.
Okay, where were we? I feel like we're getting a little bit off topic, so let's reel it back in. Let's talk about one of the other pieces of our title today, and that is the plot hole / mistake in the sequel trilogy that has since been fixed / explained. So, one of the biggest things in the sequel trilogy to me that seems like a wasted opportunity, or at least a mistake in some sort of facet, is the Knights of Ren. The Knights of Ren should have been a huge part. They help Kylo Ren destroy Luke's Jedi Temple, and then they sort of just disappear. They're these really cool, mysterious-looking characters, and then they do absolutely nothing for 92% of the entire sequel trilogy. They come in The Rise of Skywalker, and they capture Chewie, and that's about it. And then Ben Solo just uses them as cannon fodder to do a badass, cool action sequence, which, by the way, is badass and cool. But still, the Knights of Ren didn't get the utility that they should have. They should have been used so much more. Now, it's all been explained. The absence of the Knights of Ren have been explained. Take a look at this. I saw this video, and this actually has to do with the recent comic run of the Legacy of Vader. So the Legacy of Vader stuff, this explains it perfectly. Take a look at this.
Star Wars has finally given us a canon reason as to why the Knights of Ren were seen so little in the sequel trilogy. After being teased in The Force Awakens, they were completely left out of The Last Jedi and became nothing more than silent minions to Kylo Ren in The Rise of Skywalker before he easily destroyed them. A classic Star Wars stereotype of an interesting concept that was criminally underutilized. But in the new Legacy of Vader number 8 comic, they're back. The issue introduces a new leader for the Knights called Teva Ren, who seems to be on a collision course with Kylo Ren, likely to explain their return in Episode 9 at his side. Through flashbacks, we learn that initially the Knights' time under Kylo Ren was good. They roamed the galaxy looting, pillaging, and destroying. But soon, Supreme Leader Snoke would decide that Kylo Ren's time to serve a greater purpose had come with the First Order. Kylo would offer to kill the Knights himself, but Snoke would have his own troops attack them, forcing the Knights of Ren.
So before we even get any further, it's actually crazy that the Knights of Ren and Kylo sort of just did their own thing for a while until Snoke was like, all right, I want you now. You come with me now. He summons him to his side pretty much.
Ren into hiding. The end of the comic jumps back to the post-Last Jedi time period after Snoke's death, with Teva pledging her service to Kylo Ren. Star Wars has...
So, it explains the absence of the Knights of Ren by saying that they're explaining the reason. They help Kylo destroy the Jedi Temple, and they sort of do their own thing for a while, and then when Snoke wants Kylo to come work by his side and complete his training, he has the First Order try to kill the Knights of Ren. And they just go into hiding. It's not until after Snoke dies, and now Kylo is the leader of the First Order, that the new Knights of Ren leader, this Teva character, comes to Kylo and pledges the allegiance of the Knights of Ren back to him after all this time. All this time. It's probably been like a year. But after all this time, he pledges allegiance back to the Knights of Ren. So that's why in The Rise of Skywalker, they're sort of just doing whatever Kylo tells them to because they've pledged their allegiance to him, and then come the end of the movie, he slaughters all of them. This is the perfect example of how something so small, like a tiny little comic series, can fix a huge mistake in the sequel trilogy. The Knights of Ren were such a cool concept. I just wanted to see more of them. And to not see more of them, it made me question what the hell was going on with them. They're not even in The Last Jedi at all, right? Are they in The Last Jedi at all? I don't think so. So they're in The Force Awakens in the flashback sequences, and then they're in The Rise of Skywalker like nothing ever happened. And none of that's explained. So just this little tiny comic book explains it perfectly. And now when I go watch the sequel trilogy, I'm like, where are the Knights of Ren? I know. I know exactly what happened. I know that Snoke came and took Kylo and tried to kill the Knights of Ren, and they were forced into hiding. And not until Snoke dies did they come back and pledge their allegiance to Kylo Ren. So now, when I go back and watch the sequel trilogy, which I will be doing probably next spring because me and Sam are watching the whole timeline in order, once I get there, I will watch it with a brand new perspective of what's going on. That's how you can fix something that has these plot holes in it. Now I will never not know where the Knights of Ren are. I will never question what's happening with them because I know exactly what happened just from this very, very simple story. It's the same way that the Shadow of the Sith novel made me love the sequels way more because of Ochi of Bastoon, the dagger that he has, explaining that and all the Palpatine pulling the strings type stuff. It explains it perfectly and makes me see the sequels in a whole new light because I can't forget that. I know it now. I'm not going to sit there and go, oh, I know that information, but I'm going to forget about it, so I hate this more. No, I know it, so I like it more. That's the perfect example of how a simple little detail like this tiny little comic can fix something so large like the absence of these cool Knights of Ren in the sequel trilogy. So I thought I'd show you that. The sequel trilogy fixed at least that plot detail for me. Very, very muchly fixed. So there's that. Imagine that Obi-Wan Kenobi show running like Grey's Anatomy TV series for almost 43 years. What? That's impossible. I enjoyed the Knights of Ren animated series. I would enjoy a Knights of Ren animated series for sure. I would too. I mean, getting to see more of them, they're around before Kylo. They were in the comic series with Kira and the Crimson Dawn. So they've been around for a while. I'd love to see that. Or you can have them included in the Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show, this overarching series like the Clone Wars that takes place before the sequel trilogy that explores everything. Just like the Clone Wars isn't just about Anakin and Obi-Wan. It's not just about one specific story. It's about everybody. You got stories with Plo Koon, random clones. By random clones, I mean great clones like, Domino Squad and all the greatest. But you got all these great branch off stories like the droid stuff or stuff about Ahsoka or Plo Koon episodes or Kit Fisto episodes, stuff you would never get in another movie or show. You could get that with the Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show. And you don't even have to call it Luke Skywalker Jedi Temple show. You can call it like New Republic or something. I don't know. But you can dive into stories that are not just about Luke, Leia, and Han, but about the other characters. Hopefully Mara Jade, but but like the Knights of Ren or Ben Solo or Snoke or the First Order or Palpatine who's pulling the strings from all that stuff. Not a Fed says, "Hey Mike, guess what?" What? What? Jordan Rennie says couch. See, you guys get me. You guys get what I'm talking about. Couch, couch, couch.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I'm sitting over here telling you exactly how the sequel trilogy is going to be saved and it's going to be awesome. How we can get an incredible animated series about Luke, Leia, and Han, the Knights of Ren, the First Order, the New Republic. Yeah! Okay. On that note, we do have a guest today. So we're going to talk some Acolyte, and some prequel trilogy. And I even got another ranking list for you because that went so well last stream. We ranked the top 50 Star Wars characters all time. It was probably the worst list of ever. But, what are you going to do? Test 1, 2. Can you hear me now, chat? Hello, 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 hello. Is that better? Hello, chat? Hello, hello. Beep, 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 beep. Beep, 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 beep. Okay. Introducing, having freshly seen The Acolyte, Phantom Menace, Attack of the Clones, and Revenge of the Sith, Samantha.
Hello, everyone.
Let me move over.
Thank you. So generous. I'm
You
going to
could-
kick all your wires. One
Scooch back.
Okay,
That's better.
Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday.
You really gotta speak into the mic.
Hello, everyone. Happy Saturday.
There you go.
Is that better?
That's
Can
better.
we hear me? We are live.
It's low on the other mic. Let me turn it up even more.
Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Testing, testing.
Ah, that's much better.
Much better.
Okay.
Woohoo!
Oh, wait. I forgot to get to this. Okay. Before we even talk about what you have to. Before we get to this. No, you can stay. You can stay. This was another piece of news that I wanted to talk about in terms of Ahsoka Season 2. I completely forgot about this. Evan Witten, not even. Evan Witten returns as Jason Syndulla in Ahsoka Season 2. So that's pretty cool. You don't even know who Jason Syndulla is.
La 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 la.
But Jason Syndulla returning for Ahsoka Season 2 is great. I mean, that wasn't really that big of a shock or a surprise. But him getting to interact with Ezra is going to be great. And I know a lot of us, yeah. Okay, now let's talk about the Acolyte, okay? So first things first, let's ask the chat and then we'll ask you.
Okay.
On a scale of 1 to 10, where do you put the Acolyte? Just on a scale of 1 to 10, where are you at? Like, you know, what's it at?
Mm-hmm.
The Acolyte of all projects, the Acolyte. What do we think? Jordan Rennie with a very generous $2 holla says, welcome to the people who love Star Wars, Sam. Okay.
No, he said welcome to the people who love Sam.
Oh. See, I just didn't read it.
No, you didn't.
I read it when
I got you, Jordan. I'll read it correctly for you.
I read what I wanted to see, okay? All right. So let's see some rankings. 4 out of 10. Nice. 9 out of 10. Love the Acolyte. Let's Falcon go. 6 out of 10. 5, 8, 7.25, 7, 6, 5, 9.9. Off topic, but is Tron Ares worth watching? Eventually, even though it came 15 years after Tron Legacy. Well, Brandon, you'd think that it would be really good, but the reviews are not it. You know, they're not looking good. I will say our boy Cameron Monaghan, Cal Kestis, is in the movie for 5 seconds. He was supposed to have a huge role apparently, and they cut it down to like 2 seconds. So I'm boycotting it for that reason and that reason only. Yeah, we want more Cal Kestis. 8.5. Again, 7.2187.
That's a good number.
Do you understand that reference?
Maybe?
No,
Tell me first. Okay.
You don't understand.
Okay, I don't understand it. Never mind.
It's
trying to make sense of it.
2187 is Leia's cell number, which you would never have guessed. But it's also Finn's stormtrooper number.
Does it have a meaning behind that? Is it like a date? Is it a release date?
No.
Oh, it just looks like it could be a date. That was the only reason I was thinking it.
True. Okay, so my ranking for the Acolyte. See, I'm very, very high on the Acolyte. I'm probably around a 9 out of 10. Maybe a little bit lower, but around that area. After rewatch and not having to deal with the chaos of this show sucked, this is going to ruin canon. Oh my God.
You mean I wasn't saying that when we were watching The Acolyte?
It was great. Not having to deal with that while watching it was great, and it actually made me enjoy it even more. So, yeah, I'm probably around a 9 out of 10. It's pretty great. It was pretty great. Now, what do you rank it out of 10?
So I think that you guys can probably get a sense a little bit for who I am and the kind of content that I enjoy. But I like a good, happy ending. And I feel like I did not really get a happy ending. The Acolyte, again, was a little bit of a watch for me where I vaguely knew some things that were going to happen already. Like, you referenced Chimere without saying his name, and I was like, oh, Chimere. And you looked at me and you were like, why do you know who that is? And I was like, well, because I did watch your streams, or like at least listen to them when you were streaming about it. Yeah. And I would watch your videos or have them on in the background, maybe not like paying attention to everything that you said, but I did hear things. So again, I feel like it was something. And then I knew that Osha, wait, it's been too long.
OSHA's the one who turns good to bad.
Right. Okay. I like knew that happened, but I didn't know how it happened or why, but I knew that she ended up with Chimere at some point or another, and I didn't know why. Um, I don't know. I remember being upset when people were dying. Now I'm forgetting everyone's names. It's like I didn't even watch it.
Yeah, I think the problem that you had was when we watched the show, we had 5 whole weeks, actually even more because of the trailers and stuff. We had a long time to enjoy and have fun with characters like Jackie or Yord, who we watched the first 5 episodes in like 3 days, maybe at most. So you knew Jackie and Yord for like 48 hours, and then you watch them get stabbed in his neck snap, and you're like,
yeah, I didn't even really get the chance, I feel like, to connect with any of those characters because it was so quick for me. And like, don't get me wrong, I was thrilled to not have to wait a week to watch things, especially when it was on a big cliffhanger. But I do think I was a lot less attached to the characters than you guys probably got because I didn't have time to sit and be like, what's going to happen to them? And then I did keep saying in the episode where they all died, I was like, they all have to die. I know it. Because also, again, during the streams, Mike would be like, everyone's going to die. Because he always tells you guys that everyone's going to die. He was right. Why are you making that face? You know, you hypothesize all of the time. You're like, everyone's going to die.
what?
Yes.
I have never done that. I've never killed a Star Wars character off ever.
Chat. Please back me up here.
You're crazy. No.
Okay.
Who let this lady on the stream? I've never killed a Star Wars character off in my life. I am such a keep everybody alive type guy. Like, you know, like the whole Bad Batch. I was like, keep them alive the entire time. You
Don't spoil things for me. We haven't gotten to the Bad Batch yet. Stop talking about it.
I didn't say they died. I said I predicted that they're going to die. I mean, I predicted they're not going to die. Okay. What?
It's true.
Aaron says I'm the Grim Reaper. That's crazy.
Mike Reaper is called that for a reason.
Oh my god. Okay. Jordan says, Sam, what'd you think of the Stranger's Forest fight sequence? So that whole 5th episode.
Yeah, that was so intense. And again, it was like I knew that I had a feeling that people were gonna die. Maybe I didn't know that for sure, but I was like, oh, these Jedi are all very outmatched here, and they're not within their realm.
Yep.
Chimere, because I did know that it was Chimere, is just in a league of his own. And how did he get there? I don't know. I want to know, but I don't know.
And the Cortosis thing you thought was really cool. The helmet that stopped the lightsaber.
Yeah, I did think that was cool, but I thought it was really creepy. The first time I saw it, I was like, why are we watching the show? Turn it off. And someone who scares very easily. And I was like, I don't like that. Yeah. It was cool, but it stressed me out.
The end of episode 4 when he floats down, you were like, is this like scary? Like what you were like freaking out. I was like, no, it's fine. And then he starts talking and he has like this really like whatever voice, and then he literally flicks his finger like that, and Osha goes flying across the forest. Yeah. Oh, it's so good.
I was worried that things were gonna be very spooky for me. They weren't too spooky. I was fine. No nightmares over here.
Yeah. So and then let's sort of fast forward to the ending, where Osha force chokes Soul. Now, one of the biggest critiques, I guess, or there's a bunch of things. One of the things is how it's going to retcon canon the entire time. You didn't have to deal with that. Like, it doesn't retcon any of Star Wars canon. But
because everyone dies.
Because everyone dies. And Soul is almost too, lack of a better word, stupid to tell the Jedi of what happened before he dies.
Yeah, the whole time I kept being like, can't he just tell everyone and explain what's going on? That'd be really nice.
And then the big bow on the end of it is that Chimere is, or we assume is, Vanestra Rowe's former apprentice, because when she arrives, she's like, oh, it's you, or you're still alive, or something like that, and then she covers it all up. So you're seeing sort of 100 years before the Phantom Menace, the seeds planting of the Jedi becoming more and more corrupt.
Right.
And one of the best scenes, and I was like, you got to pay attention to this one because it's so important, was when she, the green bald-haired lady, she has the conversation on Coruscant with the senator. Remember? And he's like, I think the Jedi are an unchecked power. And then he's like, one day, one of you is going to go dark. Or he says, one of you is going to turn against the Republic, and who's going to stop you then, or something. And it's like just foreshadowing Anakin, like, beyond belief.
Yeah, that was cool.
And he was so right. But that's 100 years before all that stuff happens.
Right.
So as we're watching the prequels right now, and we're on the end of Revenge of the Sith, we're like, how are the Jedi so stupid?
Mhm.
Like, that's something that I bring up all the time. But how are the Jedi so stupid to allow all this to happen?
Yeah.
But it's something that the Acolyte does so well, is it plants the seeds of all that corruption in the Jedi 100 years before.
Mhm.
So it's like really, really cool. And it starts with Soul and then adds on to Vanestra Raux because she covers it all up and blames it on Soul. Oh no. Oh, never mind. I think we're good. I thought we just lost the stream there for a sec.
I did too.
But yeah, that's the genius of the Acolyte just overall, is it's a cover up from Soul, but then because he covers up the whole thing that happened 16 years before with the twins in the
Mhm.
first place, the fire and all that.
Yep.
And then it's a cover up after the fact with Vanestra, and it's just this never ending cycle of what eventually turns into Dooku
Mhm.
leaving the Order and then Anakin leaving the Order,
Yeah.
which is great. So the finale,
Mhm.
Plagueis showing up, Soul dying, Osha joining Chimere, and then them standing on the edge of that cliff and looking out into the distance,
Mhm.
expecting a second season. Vanestra Raux going into Yoda's chamber and saying, "Master, I have to tell you something."
Mhm.
Chimere's back being whipped with what could be Vanestra Raux's laser whip.
Mhm.
Do you want a season 2?
I did want a season 2, and I feel like it was set up so well to have a season 2. Like, they intended for it to have a season 2, so there are cliffhangers, and I want answers, and I feel like ultimately, I thought that it was a good show. I mean, I did say that I watched it fast, so I feel like I didn't get the connection that you guys did. So for those of you who maybe like the show more than me, that's probably why. But I mean, another thing that made me extra like the show was that we had just watched Clone Wars, which Clone Wars is great, love Clone Wars. But then switching to live action, I was like, whoa, this is so cool! Like rather
Yeah.
than it being animated, that was cool. Or even just the very first scene of the show with Indara, like
Yeah, that fight with
was-
Indara in the bar or whatever.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's something you kept saying throughout the show, is the quality is unbelievably good, like just the
Mhm.
visual quality.
Because even at the end of Clone Wars, before the last 2 episodes, I rewatched Revenge of the Sith just by myself, just to like refresh on everything, and even just this was so much like more high quality than that, obviously because it's just more recent
Yeah.
and we had better technology. But like the visuals were all really cool, and I thought that it was a good story. And I mean, I was kind of aware of the hate that it got during its time, and I just don't think that it was warranted. So I don't know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree.
I mean, to each your own. If you have your opinions, that's your
No, no,
opinion.
no, no, no.
Okay.
No,
I liked it.
no. Yeah, so again, this is coming from a perspective of somebody who didn't have to deal with any of the hate online and stuff, and just watching it all 8 episodes. Again, binging a show is very different from week to week stuff because people can lose their minds a lot more.
Yep.
But I could not agree with you more. I mean, season 2 is it's some sort of continuation of that story is a necessity.
Mhm.
Getting more.
And then it's like, what happens to May? Because she got her memory wiped,
Yep.
no? Like,
Yeah.
where does she go? What does she do? Does she find Osha again somehow? I don't know.
See,
Nobody's gonna know.
that's the thing. The reasons you don't like this show or liked it a little less is because it's all people die and it's
Right.
sort of bad guy center. It's called The Acolyte.
But
so
then the
it's-
twins get ripped apart. Like, they're the
Yeah.
only people that they have, and then they can't be with each other anymore. That's sad.
Yeah. Well, it's called The Acolyte. So you're supposed to go in with the intention of it being about the villains.
Mm.
But either way, that's why I actually really like the show, because it's about the villains, and Chimere's such a good villain, and everybody had to die in the forest, but it's sort of a villain origin story for Chimere and for Osha.
Mhm.
And a season 2 would only further that to the extent of Plagueis, and maybe we don't really know the relationship between Plagueis and Chimere yet. He's in his cave, so we assume
Or even Chimera and Vanestra.
Yeah.
That would be cool to learn about.
Exactly. So you get
More
flashbacks to that.
corruption. Like, maybe he was a Jedi and he left.
Yeah, exactly. And she thinks he's dead, clearly, because of the reaction. She was
Right.
like, "You're alive."
Mhm.
So whatever happened there, and Chimere saying that he was like really, really old, like he could be 100+ years old, because Vanestra is also really, really old.
Mhm.
So there was that, but it could have eventually evolved into, and I'll give you a little bit of a Legends lesson here. So Darth Plagueis, as you know, is Palpatine's master.
Yes.
So Plagueis is the one sitting in the cave.
Mm-hmm.
In Legends, it's still kind of a mystery, but he creates Anakin. him and Palpatine manipulate the midichlorians in a revolt to that, them trying to create this dark side being. The Force itself creates Anakin as the chosen one, and Palpatine eventually kills Plagueis and uses Anakin to his own advantage. That's Legends.
Okay.
However, the Acolyte kind of puts that into a canon perspective because the twins are created by the Force itself. Mother Anisea creates the twins using the what's it called? The
Virgins?
Virgins. Yes.
I paid attention.
There you go. The Virgins in the Force on Brendok, she uses that to create the twins. So Osha knows that. And the twins, as you see, they never really tap into their full potential in the show, but maybe they would in a season 2. They're very, very powerful, as they should be. So that knowledge, that ability, might be what's passed down from Osha to Chimere, from Chimere to Plagueis, and actually what makes Plagueis and Palpatine create Anakin. So what people liked/disliked, I liked it, but some people really didn't like it, was that this show, The Acolyte, might actually be the first stepping stone to what eventually creates Anakin Skywalker, which I think is really cool. But a lot of people are like, Acolyte bad, don't connect that to Anakin, don't want that.
I feel like it's cooler. It gives his story even more depth and an explanation rather than just some random happening that the whole fate of the galaxy is dependent upon.
Exactly. We just watched The Phantom Menace, and Qui-Gon, when he brings Anakin to the council, says, I've found a virgins in the Force. Like, that's what Anakin is first described to be, is this virgins in the Force. So these twins being a virgins in the Force is what should be what ends up being Anakin, or what eventually ends up being Anakin, because the twins don't have a father either, and neither does Anakin.
Right.
Yeah. So that's The Acolyte. Now let's talk some prequels.
Wait, I didn't give my rating.
Oh, yeah. Go.
Okay. I would say like an 8.25 is what I give The Acolyte.
Do we remember what you gave the Clone Wars?
No, I do not.
I think it was an 8.75, but I could be wrong.
That makes sense. That
Okay.
sounds pretty on track. I would say that, I mean, there's just more Clone Wars, and I love Ahsoka, and obviously I had significantly more time to bond with the characters, so
yep.
I would say that stands. I'd say that I liked Acolyte, but I like Clone Wars more because Clone Wars is great.
There you go. All right, so we watched The Phantom Menace and Attack of the Clones
Yes,
and
we did.
Revenge of the Sith.
Yeah.
And we watched the Tales of the Jedi. We watched the
we did watch Tales
we watched the
of the
Dooku
Jedi.
episodes, and we watched the Ahsoka episodes. The Dooku stuff was really cool because we watched The Phantom Menace, and then we watched Attack of the Clones, and then we watched Tales. So
well, we watched the Tales of Ahsoka right after the Clone Wars.
So we watched the Dooku stuff right after we got Dooku in Attack of the Clones. So you're like, how does this guy appear? And then it explains it.
Yeah.
And that stuff's really cool because it shows how Dooku falls and how, again, the Republic and the Jedi Council being too involved with the Senate and too involved with politics leads him to leave. And when him and Qui-Gon go on the first mission where they come to this town and it's completely destroyed and the senator's son gets captured and they do this whole thing. Jordan, sadly, no. Jordan says, can we recommend watching Skeleton Crew next? We're doing it in order. So Skeleton Crew is not for a long time.
When is Skeleton Crew?
Skeleton Crew is before is last. Skeleton Crew is last.
Okay.
Skeleton Crew is last.
We will get there.
Skeleton Crew is last because we're building up to right before the Mandalorian and Grogu movie. The last Mandoverse project was Skeleton Crew. So yeah, it's last. We'll get there eventually, probably around April, but we'll get there eventually. Next is Bad Batch. So we're going to finish up Revenge of the Sith. We're right at the end, and then we're going to go to the Bad Batch, which you got introduced to in Clone Wars Season 7.
Yes.
But going back to Tales of the Jedi, you see Dooku go on that first mission with Qui-Gon where he sees that the Senate is corrupt and doing horrible things to the galaxy. And then the second episode where the Jedi are corrupt because he goes on the mission with Windu, and then Mace Windu gets the seat on the council and he doesn't for the mission that they go on. He sees the corruption in the Republic in the first one, and the Jedi in the second one, and then in the third one, he deletes the files from Kamino, which is awesome. And then he fights Master Yaddle after Qui-Gon dies because Qui-Gon was his apprentice, and he died because the Jedi Council didn't listen to him.
Right.
So Dooku's fall is like 1,000 times better after you watch Tales of the Jedi, and explained, I guess, because it's not explained at all in the movies. But then we get to Attack of the Clones, which was really, really cool. And I was explaining to you how awesome it is because you obviously started with the prequels, but at the time when people watched the originals and they saw Yoda as this old dude and just whatever, and they were like, okay, cool. And then even in the Phantom Menace, he's still an old dude who just sits there and does nothing.
Yeah.
But in Attack of the Clones, he comes in walking with his stick, drops the stick, uses the Force like crazy, catches the Force lightning in his hand,
Mm-hmm.
and then he's Dooku's like, clearly this will not be solved with our abilities with the Force, but with our abilities with the lightsaber. And Yoda puts his thing to the side, uses the Force to grab his lightsaber, and ignites it, and then starts jumping around like a crazy person.
Yeah.
So for people unlike us who grew up, or I guess I grew up watching the prequels and stuff, and you started with the prequels,
Yep.
you don't get to appreciate or at least go, holy crap, Yoda can do that.
Yeah.
Because for every other time you've seen Yoda, he
Mhm.
just sits there and does nothing, and he walks around like an old man. And then
Yeah.
when he whips out a lightsaber, he's going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a really cool surprise that many people, not us, got to appreciate
That's true.
when it happened at the time. But now,
Still cool.
yeah, still cool. Now that we are about to go watch the Bad Batch, do you have any predictions for the Bad Batch? I'll give you a little bit of information about the Bad Batch. Actually, you know what we can do? Let's watch the trailer.
Okay.
Let's watch the trailer for the Bad Batch season 1, Chad.
Okay, we can do that.
Let's watch the trailer for the Bad Batch season 1. All right, let's but first things first, let me explain what's happening. So
Okay, that'd be
the
great.
Bad Batch you got introduced to in the Clone Wars season 7.
Yes.
They were the Clone Force 99. They're all altered clones. They all have these abilities.
Mm-hmm. And didn't someone join them too, right? What's his name again?
Echo, yeah.
Echo joined
So
them.
Echo gets saved in season 7 and he joins the Bad Batch. So here's the first trailer. 3.6 million views 4 years ago, Bad Batch official trailer. Yeah. Let's watch this.
Okay.
I'm going to give you the headphones
Okay.
so you can listen to this. All right. Take these. You're going to hear yourself when you talk and me when you talk. All right. We're watching the Bad Batch trailer, chat. Cast your mind back to like, I don't know, 5 years ago. First season, Bad Batch. Here we go.
Okay.
Actually, is this first season? Should be, right? All right. Let's do it.
A test is in order. 5 enhanced clones? More capable than an army. Yet they exhibit a concerning level of disobedience and disregard for orders.
What else you got? Give me more!
Our squad's nothing but trouble. But we get the job done.
You're Clone Force 99.
You know who we are.
Hunter,
Let's go.
Echo,
Hyperdrive's online.
Tick,
Prepping to jump.
Wrecker,
Blow something up.
and Crosshair.
Your move. We're all you need.
I want Clone Force 99 found and wiped out.
The galaxy's a dangerous place to be.
We need to get out of here. What do you say, kid? You want to come with us?
How can I help?
The Clone Wars have ended. You can either adapt and survive, or die with the past. The decision is yours.
We do what we do. Strap in, kid.
Okay. So, first impressions.
It looks very cool, and I'm very excited.
So, the cool thing about this is it's the updated animation from season 7 that you got
Mm-hmm.
from Clone Wars.
Yeah.
But I'm kind of shocked at how much it shows you in this trailer. So it takes place right after season 7.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens at the end of season 7?
Order 66.
So it's how they deal with that. And you even brought it up in season 7 when we were watching. You were like, these guys have altered genetics. Is the inhibitor chip still work?
Mm-hmm.
So it's how Order 66 goes for them is the start of the show.
Ooh.
And then what happens from there. So actually in this trailer, if you caught it, well, first of all, this girl right here, her name's Omega. She's very important.
Sounds familiar.
Yes, I'm sure you've heard the name before. Tarkin is in the trailer a lot.
Uh-huh.
You don't know this girl yet, but you will.
Okay.
And then they actually did show this, and I was shocked. It's Captain Rex. So if you didn't know, Rex is
I
back.
did not realize that. I was just watching.
So Rex is there. And I think they showed him.
Oh, that's so exciting.
I know. Right? So Rex is there, and of course, we watched Tales of the Jedi, so you know that him and Ahsoka split up.
Where's Ahsoka?
You know that. Remember, she's in hiding and then she fights the Inquisitor and chops his head off.
Yeah. Where is she now?
Oh,
Still hiding?
Nope,
Oh, I find out. Okay.
She's in hiding. Yeah, at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
So there's another person I wanted to show you, or something I wanted to show you. This guy. This was Saw Gerrera.
Okay, I've heard that name before.
Yeah, you remember his sister was the one who died in like season 5 of the Clone Wars when they were fighting for their planet Onderon.
Yeah.
And she, like, Ahsoka catches her as
Yeah,
she's falling,
yeah,
and
yeah.
then she dies.
Mm-hmm.
So that's her brother,
Okay.
Saw, and he's gonna be in this and a lot of other projects. So get used to the name because he's a menace. Okay.
Okay.
So there's that. So Captain Rex, Saw Gerrera, great names.
Mm-hmm.
I'm excited. I mean, Bad Batch is really, really good. The first 2 seasons aren't my favorite. They're good. They're not my favorite. And season 3 is a freaking masterpiece. And it's all the perfect lead up from season 1, 2, and 3. But there you have it. That's next.
Okay. Looks cool.
Any
I'm excited.
bold predictions?
I don't even know what to predict.
Are they all going to die?
No, they're all going to live happily ever after. Are they? We'll never know. Well, we'll know, but not for now. Any predictions? I mean, the only very vague and general prediction that I have is that it's going to be an issue for somebody that they don't listen to Order 66, I assume. And I don't know how they get out of it, but I guess I'll find out eventually. So, but they're a pretty cool team, and I think a big part of the Clone Wars that I had a problem with was just I'm not good at facial recognition, and so
Clone facial recognition.
Well, in real life too, but yes, with the clones, and so I had a hard time differentiating them and telling them apart and like giving everybody a persona. That's why I said I needed to rewatch the Clone Wars eventually by myself and just reconnect with all the characters and stuff. But this is helpful that they're all different and all have like a very different purpose and skill set. So I think that'll be really helpful for me to bond with them more. And also there's like less of them, and
yeah,
it's going to stay within those 5 and then other characters. But I feel like, I mean, well, we just saw Rex, but other than Rex, not really any other clones I foresee.
Well, yeah.
That are going to be integral.
The clones are hard to decipher.
Mm-hmm.
I even had trouble with it too when we were just rewatching the Clone Wars. Like, there's only really a few that you need to know, but they all look the same. So
right. Or even like you would point out the different marks on like their heads and their helmets, and you'd be like, "Oh, this one's helmet is like slightly different this way," and I'd be like, "I cannot remember that." Yeah. But maybe rewatching it would help. But it's not going to be an issue with this show, I don't think. So
yeah, no, absolutely. They all have very unique looks and feels. They even look different. Like Wrecker looks different. But you brought up Order 66. You're gonna get a lot of different variations of Order 66. You've already seen Anakin storm the temple in Revenge of the Sith.
Yep.
You've already seen Ahsoka's perspective.
Mm-hmm. Devastating.
Have you seen anybody else's perspective? No, but you're gonna get more. So like you're gonna get the Bad Batch in this series.
Cool.
And then you'll get more from there.
Nice.
Yeah, it's a very important event.
Mm-hmm.
You know, just only 10,000 Jedi dying at the exact same time.
It doesn't seem that important to me. I don't know what you're talking about.
Well, the issue that people bring up still to this day is that so many people survived it because they're like, oh, this guy survived. Oh no, this guy survived. But there's 10,000 Jedi.
Yeah.
And there's like, I don't know, 12 survivors. That's 99.9% success rate.
Yeah.
So it's pretty good. But we did miss a super chat here from Not a Fed, who says, does Sam know that Ahsoka dies to Darth Watto?
No. Does that happen?
No.
Okay.
Watto is the guy from the Phantom Menace. He's the
Yeah.
flying dude.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, he doesn't turn into a Sith Lord.
Aw.
He definitely doesn't kill Ahsoka. One thing you'll find, which you've already found in the Clone Wars,
Ahsoka never dies.
Ahsoka never dies.
Let's go!
Except for when she does.
And she sees Anakin again somehow in... I named it, but now I don't remember. I don't remember.
So
I know they see each other again.
as you see in the Clone Wars, when they go to Mortis and Ahsoka dies, or she's dying,
Uh-huh.
and then they just bring her right back. She becomes the daughter of the Mortis gods.
Yeah, I need to watch that again.
Yeah. So that is sort of her first run-in with death, and she's a pretty tough cat to take down, you know?
Yeah.
So Darth Watto is not taking her down, that's for sure.
Nice.
So don't believe everything chat says.
Okay.
Don't believe everything you see on the internet.
Oh, I should have known.
But with that, let me end this poll, actually.
Okay.
This poll was, I don't even remember anymore. Do you think Leia will be in Ahsoka Season 2? 69% of you, nice, say yes. 31% say no. Yeah. Okay. Ahsoka will live forever on Mortis. Interesting. Kit Fisto, what's up? Clone Wars episode where Yoda dies is crazy? What?
It's not ringing a bell to me.
I don't think that happens. My dog is named Ahsoka? There you go.
That's cool.
That's a pretty cool name.
That is a cool name.
All right, but with that, we do have to get on out of here. Got to go finish up a short for later on today. We almost hit the 2-hour mark today, which is crazy. This has been quite the insane week for Star Wars news in terms of leaks for Ahsoka Season 2. And just, it's wrapped filming on Monday. We got all these new announcements from today. The new Star Wars Legacy Leia, Rey, Kylo book that comes out next year, 2026. I mean, we've talked about it a million times, but from Maul Shadow Lord, Mandalorian and Grogu, Ahsoka Season 2, now this Star Wars Legacy, the Vision spin-off series, like it's going to be the most insane year ever, which might only be topped by 2027. And it's going to be a blast, and we're going to see a lot of insane stuff go down. And the greatest part about it is by the time we hit the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, you'll be fully caught up.
I was just thinking that.
By the time we get to Maul Shadow Lord, which is post Clone Wars Season 7, you're already caught up. You can watch that too. And Ahsoka Season 2, by the time we get to there, which is after Mandalorian and Grogu, you'll be fully caught up and you can watch all of it live, week to week. Look at that. Okay, but with that, smash a freaking like on this stream. How many likes do we have, Chad? How many likes do we have? Oh, there's a new setup with YouTube. It's being stupid. Smash a freaking like on this stream if you have not already. Hit that subscribe. Hit that bell. Blah 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 blah. Huge shout out to Ginger for the new membership, and Jordan Rennie, also Jordan Rennie and Jordan Rennie. Not a Fed again. Jordan Rennie, Snow Wolf, Jordan Rennie, Holly, another Mike who loves Star Wars, Jordan Rennie, Darth Plagueis lives. I appreciate it. Super chats, memberships, keep the lights on over here. But until next time, may the Force be with you. Always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. Oh, my God. We didn't do this. Wait. Should we do this? Hang on. Everybody come back.
Don't go.
Don't leave yet.
It's not over yet. Come back.
It's a second ending. Hang on. Post-credit scene. Post-credit scene. I forgot we didn't do the ranking. Oh, my God. So Screen Rant, as you guys know and love, Screen Rant created a Star Wars movie villain ranking. Should we do it? Should we do it, chat? Are we still here?
Is anyone still here?
Are we out there? Okay, let's do it anyway. For the people who stayed for the post-credit scene, you guys get an exclusive. All right, let's do this. So Screen Rant, our faves, are doing an every Star Wars movie villain ranking by movie. That was English. Okay, so our last ranking from the last stream, we did the Star Wars characters, top 50 Star Wars characters. It was a disaster. I know you didn't see it, but It was horrible. The list was atrociously bad. But, to each their own. But today, we got an even better one. Star Wars movies ranked by their villains. So all 11 Star Wars movies, unless Clone Wars is on here too, but I don't think so. All 11 Star Wars movies ranked by their villains.
Interesting.
So, first things first. Movie to movie. I feel like number one should be... depends on who you're calling the villain of Revenge of the Sith. Palpatine or Anakin or both. It's got to be Revenge of the Sith. Then maybe Empire, or maybe Return of the Jedi because Palpatine pulling the strings. This is tough. Maul's a great villain for Phantom Menace, so he should be up towards the top. Dooku's pretty good. Vader for A New Hope is pretty great. But even like Rise of Skywalker, as much as the Palpatine Returns doesn't really make much sense, and it's starting to make more sense now, Palpatine is so ridiculously powerful in that movie. Like, he's got to be towards the top. All right, let's see it. Every story is only as good as its villain. And that is, of course, true for Star Wars. Probably more than anything else. So here's the top 11. Okay, so we got 11. 11 Star Wars movies ranked by their villains. What do we think, Jet? What'll be a top? Solo will be number one? I don't know about that. Solo's villains, what? Kira? Or I guess Dryden Voss? I don't know about that. What do we think is number one?
Any predictions? What do we got?
It's going to piss me off greatly. Oh, I know it's going to. Whatever it ends up being, I'm sure we'll disagree with, but we'll see. We'll see. Somehow Screen Pants returns. Empire. Dryden. I think Empire could be one or two. Well, let's see. Oh, I just said that. Rise of Skywalker at number 11. Bottom of the list. Somehow Palpatine Returns is the worst villain. Rise of Skywalker brought the saga to a close, but it wasn't really a triumphant one. They brought back Ian McDermott's Palpatine for a last hurrah, but the Emperor was greatly diminished. When he takes the power of Rey and Kylo, it's the most powerful Palpatine's ever been. Are we doing it by power here, or just the fact that it's a not great movie? What is this list? Okay, number 10 is Dryden Voss. This makes sense. Dryden Voss up against Palpatine would get absolutely smacked, so I don't know how this is the case, but Dryden Voss would lose to all other villains.
What is Vision doing?
Who took Vision's makeup off?
I'm not familiar with this movie.
After the Bad Batch, we watched Solo. So you'll be caught up on Solo in a little bit. I don't think you've ever watched Solo.
No, I haven't.
That's pretty funny. What is Vision doing here? We'll have to wait and find out.
Clearly, he's not doing a lot. He's at the bottom of the list.
There you go. So Solo, that makes sense. Kylo Ren in The Force Awakens. I guess he's pretty weak in The Force Awakens just because at the end fight he got shot by Chewie's bowcaster, so he's injured. But at the beginning of the movie, he's stopping a blaster bolt in midair and freezing it there. I don't know. Who would he be more powerful? I feel like he's better than even. Okay, maybe that's pretty good. Maybe it's pretty good. This is why I was gonna say. I said maybe he's better than Dooku, but Dooku's like an incredible swordsman. He defeats Anakin and Obi-Wan, both of them, and sort of to a standoff with Yoda. Nobody wins, but he gets away with Yoda. I think this is horrible. Dooku is so powerful. He beats Anakin and Obi-Wan. I don't know. That's a little ridiculous. 7 is The Last Jedi. Okay, Snoke. This should be probably towards the bottom. Because, like, Snoke, he's powerful, but he's powerful for, like, 5 minutes. If even that. I don't know. 6 is Phantom Menace, Darth Maul. Maul is not the most powerful. Like, Dooku would probably beat him in a one-on-one. So would Vader. So would Palpatine. So this makes sense. As much as I love Maul, he's not really that powerful. Like, he's a great villain. He would lose a lot. Yeah. And he only has 6 minutes of screen time. Well, that makes sense too.
That's devastating.
5 is Krennic in Darth Vader, Rogue One. This should be top 5, absolutely. Krennic, although he's not a Force user, he's definitely one of the best non-Force using villains in the Star Wars universe. Number 4, Tarkin. Okay, that should be way lower. If you're doing Vader, I get it, but Tarkin, no. No. That should be way, way lower. Maul is more powerful. Dooku in Attack of the Clones way more powerful. Yeah, this should be way lower. 3, Revenge of the Sith. You're telling me the lineup of Palpatine, Dooku, Grievous, and Anakin is not number 1? So we got Empire left, and we got Return of the Jedi left.
What is this list?
It's supposed to be best villains, or best Star Wars movies by their villains.
Okay. It's not just like most powerful. Like it's just if it's a good villain. What is the basis for
I'm
this?
guessing
ranking?
it's just by good villains, because if it's most powerful, nobody's beating this lineup.
Right.
And Palpatine in Rise is the most powerful. So I'm guessing it's just by the villains themselves.
Okay.
Which still, this one should be at number 1.
Mm-hmm.
But we continue. All right, this list really makes no sense. Palpatine is the best in Return of the Jedi. He's not the most powerful, but he's the best pulling the strings and all that stuff. And Vader fighting Luke. So you're telling me that Vader alone in Empire is the best villain? He's not the most powerful. Even in this, he barely defeats Luke, chopping off his hand. That's it. I don't like this list. I really have a lot of issues with this list. You know what?
Not a fan.
Not a fan. Post-credit scene ruined. May the Force be with you always. Oh, yeah. What a great stream. What a great show. You guys are the absolute best. This was, quite the show. Having Samantha on, talking Acolyte and prequels. Can't get much better than that, except for when we get to the Bad Batch. So, yeah,
Bad Batch soon.
Bad Batch coming soon to a theater not near you. But until next time, hope you have a great rest of your evening, great rest of your lives, and good night, everybody.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.